Kalispera σας. We're very thrilled to welcome everyone to the American Embassy in Athens. My name is George, and I'm the editor for the Embassy's cultural website, mosaico.gr. And tonight I'll be the moderator for a web chat with Ambassador Smith. I would like to point out that this web chat is 30 minutes, so the ambassador might not be able to answer everyone's questions today. As you know, we've been asking people to submit their questions all week via email, Facebook, and Twitter, so I'll be asking Ambassador Smith a few of those questions as well. Finally, this discussion will be archived on our embassy website. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you the U.S. Ambassador to Greece, Mr. Daniel Smith. Κύριε Πρέσβη, καλησπέρα σας.
Thank you very much, George. Kalispera σας, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to participate in this live web chat and to be able to take questions from young people from throughout Greece. I know these are difficult times, and the impact of the economic crisis here in Greece has fallen heavily on the shoulders of the young people in this country. We are hopeful, however, that Greece is on the right path of economic reform, and that these reforms will make possible a more competitive economy and more economic opportunity for all Greeks, but especially for Greece's youth. We had this past year the opportunity to host both Vice President Biden and Secretary Clinton here in Athens, and they both underscored their strong support for Greece as it embarks on this difficult reform path. We have a strong bilateral relationship between the United States and Greece, one that rests on a foundation of shared commitment to democratic principles and values. As ambassador, I look forward to strengthening that relationship and also looking for new ways to enhance the ties between our two countries and our two peoples. And toward that end, I'm delighted to be able to take your questions tonight.
Thank you. So let's kick off our web chat. We've had a few questions about renewable energy sources. Dean and Christos both wrote in asking if there are ways the US can work with Israel, Cyprus, and Greece to form a new bedrock of European energy security.
Well, I think there are any number of ways that we can work together, not just between Greece and the United States, but also with the other countries of the region. The United States, as you know, is a leader in terms of development of renewable energy. And I know that there are many firms that are interested in investments in Greece, whether it's in solar or wind power. We want to work to enhance that opportunity and to enhance those ties. But also there are, and I think your questioners are suggesting, there have been discoveries of large apparent reserves of natural gas off the coast of Cyprus and Israel. Those also, I think, can enhance the economic and well-being of Greece, but also the energy diversity of Europe. We need to look at ways that we can tap those energy resources and enhance, as I say, the economic and energy diversity of this continent.
One guest participant with the nickname ITOS101 is asking why the US Congress is pushing legislation to make the Internet the most free forum in the world, a less free place for all. SOPA gives all power to corporations and makes sharing of information risky for all. How do you respond? This is not the spirit of WWW. How do you respond to that?
Well, as you know, George, the United States is committed to Internet freedom and to exchange of ideas and full opportunity to exchange ideas and communication on the Internet. That said, we also want to ensure that the Internet is not a free forum for criminal activity, whether that involves uploading pirated material, whether it involves child pornography, or anything that might be deemed criminal in that regard. And I think it's important that we strike that right balance, that we enable the Internet to be the forum that it has become, while at the same time ensuring that it respects and that people who are on the Internet respect the law.
John Parthenios from Athens wants to know more about American Corners as a public diplomacy tool for creating dialogue between Greeks and Americans and giving Greeks an opportunity to learn more about American culture and values. Is there any plan to expand their mission in Greece?
George, the American Corners are an important part of our public diplomacy efforts here in Greece. We have 6 American Corners spread throughout Greece. We want to look for ways, though, these are basically partnerships between our embassy and local libraries and other institutions. We very much want to look for ways to enhance the effectiveness of these American Corners, which provide access to information about the United States, whether over the Internet or through books and other programs. If you have ideas, I would very much welcome them. I know that my public diplomacy section is eager to hear your ideas and to see how we might collaborate and make these American corners more effective.
Thank you. Will Alcmeonid wants to know if you have read Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, and if you have been inspired by their work or any other Greek writers or philosophers.
Well, that's an excellent question. I have to say I haven't read them recently, but I have read them in the course of my studies and have always been profoundly inspired by the great writers of Greece and the great thinkers of Greece. It is clear that this country has contributed enormously to not only Western civilization, but to world thought. Those writers and others have played a profound impact, had a profound impact on our ideals, on our values, on our understanding of human nature and human behavior. I myself have always been inspired not only by these writers, but also by Greek mythology and by other more contemporary writers. Nikos Kazantzakis has always been a great fan. I've always been a great fan of his and his writing. And I know that he has inspired many Americans in so many ways.
Thank you. Alexandros Xanthoudakis asked a question via email wanting to know how easy it is to move, relocate, and work in the United States.
Well, as you know, Greece is a member of the Visa Waiver Program, and as such, Greeks are able to travel to the United States without visas. They will register on the ESTA website and don't have to come into the embassy in order to get a visa. But that is for normal business and tourism purposes. If someone seeks to work in the United States, the process is a little more complicated. I would certainly refer you to our website, www.athens.usembassy.gov, for more information. But in essence, you need to find an employer who is willing to sponsor you in the United States, file a petition with the Department of Homeland Security, and then you would come in to have a visa interview here at our embassy in order to work more permanently in the United States.
Okay. Someone just wrote asking how the U.S. can help Greece to escape from the economic crisis.
Well, the United States is the largest contributor to the International Monetary Fund, and as such, we are a contributor already to the international relief efforts and assistance efforts that the international community is providing to Greece. What I have looked for as ambassador, though, are ways that we can enhance our bilateral, commercial, and economic ties, whether it's encouraging American businesses to look to Greece for investments, whether it's removing impediments to trade between our two countries. One of the areas I would highlight that I have focused on is the cruise line industry. Greece is one of the most natural markets for cruises in the world. I would like to see more American cruise lines that are home berth, either in Piraeus or Heraklion or Thessaloniki or other ports in Greece, that will provide, I think, not only tourist income for this country, but also jobs for Greeks. I think this is one way in which we can enhance the commercial and economic ties between our countries, but there are many others and other ways that we need to look that we can do this. Ultimately, though, I think these reforms that Greece is undertaking, which will make it easier for Greek businesses, will also make it very attractive for foreign direct investment in Greece. My hope is that American businesses will be very much a part of that, whether it's a privatization program or other investments in Greece.
Yeah, sir, who are America's greatest contributor to the world, though? Who would you say? And it cannot be Bill Gates.
Who's America's greatest contributor to the world? I'm sorry.
Yeah, who are America's great contributors to the world?
Throughout American history, is that more broadly, or in general today? I think
in general today.
In general today. You know, I think the United States obviously has played an important role in a number of different fields. I think American scientists have contributed to cutting-edge technology and to scientific advancement. If you look at winners of the Nobel Prize, the United States is always one of the leading countries when it comes to winners of the Nobel Prize. We certainly have some great, as we say, leaders in our industrial sector, whether it's Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or others, who have been very creative forces in bringing to the surface and to the fore new technology and bringing it to the market and showing the ways that it can change our lives and make our lives easier. The United States has always played a great role. We're a very innovative country and a very adaptive country in that regard. So industry comes to mind. But I think also American leadership on the international stage is very important. I do think that we play an important role in terms of addressing global problems and issues and challenges that we face as a people around the world.
Our friend VV is asking, wants to learn more about yourself, where you grew up, what sports you played, and how you became an ambassador.
Thank you very much. I love that sort of a question. I can actually claim 3 states in the United States as home. I was born in California and spent several years there going to school, but I grew up for the most part in Colorado, and I think of those 2 states as my home. Nevertheless, I've spent the last 10 years off and on in Virginia, and also consider that beautiful state as one of my homes. There are many things the United States has to offer, but I feel very privileged to have lived in 3 great parts of our wonderful country. I became an ambassador really as a career public servant, as a career Foreign Service officer after a long career in the Foreign Service. I have dedicated myself, as have many of my colleagues in the Foreign Service, to advancing our nation's interests overseas, to explaining our country, to defending our interests, but also to working closely with other countries in partnership to address shared problems and challenges. It's clear that while the United States is a great country, we also need other countries, and we need to work closely with other countries to address global problems. No nation today can solve its problems alone. And I can think of so many global challenges, whether it's climate change, whether it's international terrorism, whether it's international crime, in which close international cooperation is necessary. And I feel privileged as a member of the Foreign Service to have worked on many of these issues and to have worked our ability to address as a global community many of these challenges.
Thank you. Mirsini from a remote island of Nisyros is asking, what do you think of the current U.S.-Greek relations? Are they in good shape?
I just want to say I have a book about Nisyros on my coffee table at home, so it's not so remote in my way of thinking. But I'm sorry, the question was, what can we...
what do you think of the current U.S.-Greek relations, and are they in good shape?
I think current U.S.-Greek relations are strong. I think that, as I say, they rest on a bedrock of shared values and commitments. I think that the current crisis has demonstrated in so many ways how important these ties are between our 2 countries, but also between Europe and the United States writ large. We want to look for ways to enhance this relationship, but the foundation of this relationship has and remains very strong. It's a bedrock of commitment to shared values, but it's also resting upon people. And people-to-people exchanges are such a critical part of our relationship. Not only the Greek-American community, which is a vital part of this relationship, but also the many Greeks who are educated in the United States, who travel to the United States, and who have great feelings for the United States. That is the foundation of our relationship.
We have a question similar to a previous one. How does a person become ambassador? And are you a diplomat by profession?
I am a diplomat by profession. To become an ambassador in the United States, as a career ambassador, one is nominated by the White House, by the President of the United States, to be an ambassador. You must then be confirmed by the Senate of the United States as a presidential appointee. If once you're confirmed, then you are sent abroad as ambassador to a country. I might say, backing up a little bit, you first have to be accepted by that country as a nominee to be an ambassador. So it's a multi-step process in order to become an ambassador. I am privileged as a career member of the Foreign Service to be an ambassador, and especially in such a wonderful country as Greece. But I have many of my colleagues around the world who are in all different places in all different challenging climes, dealing with many similar problems, who are also ambassadors and also representing the United States abroad. It's a great privilege, whether one is career or non-career, political appointee. But it's something that is, in my case at least, the culmination of a long career in the Foreign Service.
Aristotelia is asking, what do you think of the German proposal for a budget commissioner in Greece in order to monitor the course of the reforms and the execution of the budget? And is the U.S. planning to help tax-wise American companies interested in investing in Greece?
Well, I've seen these proposals, although I don't know how serious those proposals are, and I saw some reports today which indicated that whoever was raising these was backing away from this idea. I think clearly Greece needs to be in control of its own budget as a sovereign state. Obviously, it's in very difficult economic circumstances, and it's receiving assistance from the international community, but I think it's an important part of Greek sovereignty as a nation that it have its control over its own budget and be able to allocate resources as it sees fit within the confines and obviously the commitments that it's made internationally. In my sense, I think probably this issue has somewhat moved off center stage at this point in time. In terms of U.S. investment, it's not really an issue of taxation, quite honestly, in terms of U.S. tax policy. It's really an issue of what are the overall climate, what are the overall opportunities. American businesses are not dissimilar to Greek businesses in that regard. They're looking for investment opportunities that make sense. They look for an investment climate that is welcoming to investment, that offers an opportunity to easily start up a business or close a business, that offers an opportunity to have some certainty with regard to the tax system, with regard to the regulatory system. So as these reforms are put in place in Greece that make it attractive for Greek businesses to do more and to invest, it will also be attractive to American businesses. And I know many American businesses and businessmen have been here to explore opportunities in Greece, and they remain very much interested in this market.
Angela is asking, have you traveled much? Have you traveled to Greece much since you've been here? And what is your favorite place you have discovered that you would like to share?
I have traveled a lot, actually, since I came to Greece, although I want to travel much more. I'd had the privilege of traveling to Greece several times before I became ambassador. I'd been in Athens several times. I'd been in Crete before. And since I've had the opportunity to travel to a number of Greek islands and to the northern part of Greece and throughout the Peloponnese, there's so much that this country has. It's such a rich history. It's such a rich culture. But it's also the geographic diversity of this country that is remarkable. When you think of, at least in American terms, the size of Greece relative to the United States, it's relatively small. But the diversity is enormous when you look at it from the north to the south and from the different islands. This is a paradise in so many respects, and it's in many respects an untapped paradise. There is so much, I think, potential for Greece when it comes to tourism, when it comes to attracting people to these wonderful shores of your country. And I look forward to working with Greeks and with American businesses to take advantage of those opportunities. But I don't really, I can't say at this point, since I haven't seen all of Greece, what is my favorite part.
Marina is saying, hello, Mr. Ambassador. I would like to ask about Greece-Turkey relations. Why doesn't the United States force Turkey to stop its illegal actions in the Aegean?
Well, first of all, let me just say, Greece and Turkey are both important strategic allies of the United States. What we have long encouraged is a close and productive dialogue between the two countries to address a host of issues that have long sort of troubled that relationship. I would say, by the way, having served in Turkey as well as in Greece, that sometimes you're asked the mirror image in Turkey. They're often asking the question, why does the United States always side with Greece? Why does it not take the side of Turkey more often? And now we get the question, why don't we force Turkey to do something? It's never that simple. And what we want to do, as I say, is encourage the dialogue, is encourage the cooperation between these two countries, is also to encourage a Turkey that is oriented to the West. I think Greece and the United States in that regard see things very much eye to eye. We want a Turkey that is integrated in not only as obviously a strong NATO member, but into the European Union. We don't have a vote. Greece has a vote in that regard. But we would very much like to see the issues that divide Greece and Turkey resolved, and Greece and Turkey to enter the European Union as a full member. That would be in everyone's best interest. And I know it's something that the Greek government very much would like to see.
One more question from Theodora Komninou. What has been the most interesting thing you've seen or done in Greece so far?
You know, I've seen and done very much in Greece, so it's hard, again, to identify one thing. I will say, though, that one of the experiences I had that was most profound for me was during the Special Olympics. Not only, I think, were those a unique opportunity for Greece to showcase its hospitality, its philoxenia, and to welcome athletes from around the world, but it also showed the generosity of the Greek people. There were so many volunteers who came out and gave of their time freely to help these athletes and to ensure that these games were a success. I felt released to be privileged to be part of these games and to participate in these games and to welcome the American team here. They were delighted, I can tell you, to be in Greece. They were, to a person, not only the family but the athletes themselves, feeling that they were welcomed across the board. The American team, by the way, had the opportunity not only to spend time in Athens but also in Rhodes. The hospitality of the Greek people during that time was simply overwhelming. It was one of the experiences I will carry with me forever.
Thank you. We had a question emailed earlier about whether the new U.S. defense strategy means that the U.S. is abandoning Europe.
Far from it. The United States' commitment to Europe remains unshakable. We are, of course, like every other country now, undergoing a process of determining what our priorities are, what our defense budget is going to be, and how we allocate our resources. But no one should ever doubt the U.S. commitment to our alliance, to NATO, and to our European allies. We have learned painful lessons in the past. We know that European security is American security, and our commitment is unshakable.
Our friend Aitos101 is asking that in the next coming months, as you know, there will be the U.S. elections. What happens to U.S. ambassadors if the president will switch from one political party to the next? Must you leave your job?
It's a very good question. All ambassadors serve at the pleasure of the president, and that's made clear from the outset. That said, there is a tradition, certainly in the United States, that ambassadors normally serve out their tours regardless of who is president at the time. So my expectation, certainly my hope, would be that I will serve my full tour here in Greece. But I serve at the pleasure of the president and could be recalled at any time.
We have a big question coming in from Vaso. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. I would like to ask the ambassador, being in Greece over a year and dealing with all these situations every day, like strikes and deceive from both sides, people and politicians, what would be your opinion of handling this situation that we live according to your knowledge, experience, and your position, meaning that you can have another view and specific points of that? How could you help us being better as a nation these days? Coming from a great country with a very different organization in comparison. Thank you.
Well, as I said at the outset, I know these are very difficult times in Greece, and I know that many people are suffering as a result of the budget cuts, as a result of the economic downturn that Greece has been experiencing. Many people have lost their jobs. Strikes, certainly in Athens, for a while at least, seem to be almost a daily occurrence and a part of life here. I think the challenge, it seems to me, in these circumstances is for everyone in Greece to realize and to recognize that this is a challenge and a crisis for the whole country. It's an opportunity for Greece to come together and for Greeks to come together to address this challenge, to improve the competitiveness of the Greek economy, to address some of the problems that Greece has faced in the past. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy, and the path to reform is never easy under these circumstances. Looking at it from American perspective, we have also been through some of these difficult times. We also face economic challenges in the United States. One of the things that I would have been encouraged by, for example, is an instance that has taken place with the American automobile industry. This is an industry that many people thought was dying in the United States. The President Obama, made clear that he wasn't going to allow that to happen. He provided assistance to American industry, especially General Motors and Chrysler Corporation. They have now turned themselves around. But it's been a joint effort, or at least a combined effort, not even a joint effort, of government, of industry, and of labor, working together, hand in hand, to address this problem and to ensure the competitiveness of the U.S. auto industry. It's a success story, and I think that's sort of an example can be used elsewhere.
Thank you. Damon is asking, Mr. Ambassador, which is the point of view of the U.S. government according to the human rights in Western Thrace, where there's a large number of people who belong to the Muslim community in Greece?
Well, we do an annual report on human rights on every country in the world, and I would refer you to our website again if you'd like to see that report. There is one on Greece that is prepared every year. one of the issues that we address are minority rights and the treatment of minorities in a given country. And in that context, we look at the Muslim minority in northern Greece. As I say, it's an important issue, just as it's an important issue to look at the Greek minority in Turkey in the course of doing the human rights report there. And I can tell you that we spend a lot of time not only focused on that issue of the treatment of minorities in Turkey, just as in Greece, but also the welfare and well-being of the patriarchate. These are important issues for us. They're important because I think not only are they an essential part of human rights, but you also tell a lot about a society and a country by how it treats its minorities and by the tolerance that it shows. And in that respect, we want to deal fully and openly with all issues. But for the most part, I think you will find it's in the Human Rights Report a very factual description of the issues that are facing Greece.
Just to inform everyone that we only have 5 minutes left. So Aristotelia is asking, will the defense cuts in the U.S. budget affect in any way the American presence in Souda Bay?
Souda Bay really is an important facility, not only for Greece, but also for the United States and for the alliance. I don't anticipate that the budget cuts are going to have any impact on that, but that's really something to be determined down the road. But I can say, having visited Souda Bay, that we appreciate its strategic value for the alliance, for the whole region, frankly, and that we appreciate very much the partnership that Greece and the United States have shared in terms of the use not only of Souda Bay, but of other assets.
Well, at this point, unfortunately, we only have time for one last question. So it's a question that we received via email, and was whether the U.S. is still concerned about terrorism in Greece.
Terrorism is a challenge that we all face in the United States, in Greece, in so many other countries around the world. I think we have recognized that in Greece, at least, the Greek police, the Greek authorities have made some important strides in dealing with the problem of domestic terrorism. That said, this challenge of terrorism is not limited to the domestic side. We all face the challenge and the threat of international terrorism, not just in Greece, but throughout the world. It's important that we as nations that have a commitment to human rights, to democratic principles, work together to address this. We must always be vigilant, and we always need to be on guard against those who would seek to use violence to advance their political goals.
Well, we have 1 or 2 minutes, so I think we should have one last question to end on a happy note. What advice will you give to the young people for the future? This is a question asked by Ethos1, who is thanking you for a very informative and really interesting event.
Thank you very much. Look, I probably give the same advice to all of you that I give to my sons, who are about the same age as many of you. I think that what you need to do is keep in mind your long-term goals. Don't be discouraged by the current circumstances. The economic problems come and go, and I know it's easy to get discouraged, but remain committed to what you want to do and passionate about what you're interested in. I think if you work hard, if you get a good education, if you continue to apply yourself, that opportunities will arise. And as I say, I'm hopeful that in the near term at least, the economic conditions in Greece will improve, and that more Greeks will be able to realize their dreams and to pursue their dreams. But don't give up hope. There is reason to remain optimistic and to remain confident that you'll be able to realize your dreams.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, and thanks everyone for taking the time to join us tonight. And please remember that this event will be archived and